How are we doing today? How amazing is this conference? I am so excited. There's so much energy here, and I'm thrilled and honored to be speaking today on one of my favorite topics, which is portraits. And anything that I can do to speed up my portrait retouching and workflow is something that I always want to share with you guys. And if you haven't been under a rock for the last year, you know that there have been some immense changes to Photoshop with the advent of Adobe Firefly, which is going to be Adobe's, their AI engine. And so what I want to share with you guys today are some helpful tips and tricks that I use all the time in my portrait work to really speed things up so that I spend more time behind the camera and not in the time suck vortex of editing in the dungeon. And then you look at the clock and all of a sudden 6 hours have disappeared and you're like, where did those just go? Because I need to know where those just went because productivity is important. And as I say that productivity is important, that is what AI is made to do inside Photoshop. So just a little bit about Adobe Firefly. That is going to be their AI engine, and that's what powers generative fill within Photoshop. I am using the beta today because I always want to show you guys the most up-to-date software that we have at our fingertips. Now, this is a public beta. You can actually go into your Creative Cloud app if you are a Creative Cloud subscriber, and you can download that public beta and play around with it as well. Sometimes things are gonna fritz out on you a little bit because it is a beta, right? But I think that the benefits definitely outweigh the drawbacks or the glitches that one might have when working in a beta. And so Adobe Firefly is the engine that runs the generative fill within Photoshop. Now, a little bit about Adobe AI and what makes that different from some of your other image generation softwares out there like DALL-E or Midjourney. When they were starting out and you would put in a prompt and you were using Midjourney and things like that, sometimes those programs would actually generate images with watermarks in them. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the images that were used to train that AI model, not Adobe's AI model, but the other AI model, used watermarked images that they did not have the rights to use. So if you were, at the forefront and reading up on all this image generation software that there is out there, you would know that Adobe rolled their AI software out much later than some of the newer ones, or some of the first ones that came out. That is because Adobe rigorously tested their AI models to make sure that they were up to snuff and that they were the best that they could possibly be. They didn't want anything going wrong with their AI models, either on firefly.adobe.com or within Photoshop. So what they did was they trained their AI model on over 300 million images from Adobe stock. And what did they do when they rolled out their generative AI model? They compensated the people that created the images that their AI was trained on. And those were the stock photographers that had contributed images to Adobe stock. So I don't know about you, but that is the type of company that I want to support when they are doing things the right way and they are compensating the creators of the images that trained the AI model to create their generative fill and generative AI features. So that's just a little bit of, the good karma that Adobe put out into the universe because they know that you guys are creators first and that they don't want to even have the look as if they are taking advantage of the creators that are part of their ecosystem. So I think that that's really, really nice. Anyway, so let's talk about a couple of the new features. So you can see here, we have this, this bar right here, which is called our contextual taskbar. And I wonder why my tablet isn't working. Yay, I love when things go wrong. Okay, that's nice. So, well, oh, yay, okay, you get a gold star. All right, so we've got our little contextual taskbar here. Now this is something that's new that you guys might have seen over the last couple of iterations of Photoshop as it comes out. If you don't have that window open, we're gonna go to Window, and you can come down to contextual taskbar right there to make sure that it has a check mark next to it. So what is the contextual taskbar? That is going to be the bar that has the next logical steps. So I think Adobe aggregated what is the next step after somebody does something like make a selection, for example. I made a selection. Now the next steps are going to be something like generative fill or refine selection, invert that selection, create a mask with that selection. And so what it does is it aggregates all the logical next steps in that bar. But as you can see, let's go ahead and deselect here. Okay, thank you. If I go ahead and make another selection, this is a little bit nosy. This is all up in my business, right? It's just following me around. Oh, I can help with that. Oh, I can help with that. That's okay, thank you, but no thank you, right? So what we can do for that is we can come to this 3 dots menu and we can choose to pin bar position. And then you can take this bar. You can see I do have an active selection now, and for some reason now I am able to click and drag that bar, which is lovely. The joys of working in a beta. You can basically pin that somewhere where it's out of the way, but you still need to use it because it is very important with anything having to do with generative fill. So I am going to deselect. I'm going to grab a selection that I have before. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come into my contextual taskbar and I'm going to just click and choose generative fill. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to choose generate. Now you can see that I left that box blank, okay? What I'm hoping is that it's going to find the items on the table, which we see down here, and it's going to help remove those in one easy step. So I can't really see, but would that save time for any of you guys out there? Give a round of applause if something like that's going to save you time. Okay, that's awesome. Yes, it's going to save me time as well. And I'm just going to do this one more time because I want to show you guys the variations that we get. All right, so the next thing is within your properties window, you're going to see these things down here, okay? Now these are going to be the 3 options that you have. Now, of course, all 3 of these are, very similar, okay? But if we come here, there's 3 different versions that you can use for your option if you want. Now, there's some additional things that are very, very helpful. Let's say one of these things, let me see if I can go back here and I can find one of these examples. Okay, so here's a situation where it created something else on the table that I didn't necessarily want, okay? If for any reason, if something like that happens, you can come into this little 3-dot menu right here in your properties window. We are based in our properties window here, okay? And you can come down to the variations and you can choose something like generate similar. This is new. New-ish. You can generate something that's going to look a little bit more like something that you've already got. A generation that you've already created, you can generate similar. So that's very, very, very helpful. The other thing that you can do is well, I'll show you that in a minute. Okay. So that is the power of generative fill. It's going to create some it's going to revolutionize the way you guys use Photoshop in almost every way. And that's what I'm really excited about. If you can see here, we've got an image here, and there's one other tool. Before I get too far into the generative fill tools, I want to just talk a little bit about a new tool, which is called the Remove tool. Now, this might as well just be the magic tool because it's just fabulous, and they are adding new things to it every time. And anything that has a sparkle, I'm okay with. I want to be part of that sparkle, okay? And actually, technically, some of these sparkle magic things are going to be, it's a hint, it's a tool that uses some AI feature within it to speed up and to make your life a little bit easier. So if I go ahead and click on that Remove tool, now some of you, if you are in a different workspace, that Remove tool may be nested with the other Remove tools, but because I have a custom workspace, mine are expanded out, okay? So that's, if you want to Google how to create a custom workspace, you can do that and find it on YouTube and learn all those cool things. So this remove tool that we have here. Now up here in the top, we have this drop-down menu called Find Distractions. And within Find Distractions, we have two options. We have wires and cables, and we have people. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click on People, and you can see that my mode says Generative AI on, okay? Now, this is something, do you see what's happened down here? Do you see what we have going on down here? Let's say that this is your friend, and you don't necessarily want to remove that friend from the image. I'm going to go ahead and come up here. I'm going to choose my Subtract brush, and I'm going to go ahead and just brush her out. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and press the check mark. And we're going to wait for the Wi-Fi. Okay, boom. So this is one of the magic ways that AI is going to help you in your daily life. Tools like this are they completely change how you use programs, right? In one click, I could remove every single person from this image if I wanted to. But I went in and I customized that I wanted one person to stay, but I wanted everybody else to be removed. That's what's really exciting about this new tech. All right, and the wires works amazing as well. And you can see here that we have this one-click removal. So here you don't even have to press the check mark because it's just one click and done. And then for editable, you have the people. It gives you a preview of who it's going to remove, and then you can go in and change that using the plus brush or the minus brush, okay? So just before I get too far into some of the generative fill stuff, I wanted to show you guys that tool because it is amazing. It's called the Remove tool, and it's going to be nested with any of your remove, like your spot healing brush, your healing brush, your patch tool, spot healing brush, those kinds of tools. Okay, so let's keep going. I'm going to just review my notes here. Okay, so I have been a headshot photographer for 20 years, and I'm not sure why, but about once a month, I get an email from a client that I worked with saying, why is the top of my head cut off? Every image on my website has the tops of the heads cut off. You were with me for the entire shoot looking at the same thing I'm looking at. Your head was not there. But anyway, I digress. What I want to say is that in the past, what I'd have to do is I'd have to go back through Lightroom. I'd have to find an image where my camera was tipped just slightly up. I'd have to grab that. I'd have to crop it into an extreme horizontal. Then I'd have to layer it on top of this image. And I'd have to line up the top of the head and get that extra space. I don't want to do that anymore, right? Are you guys exhausted just listening to that? Yes. Okay. So what we can do is we can come in and we can activate our crop tool which is the C key. And thankfully, what the smart developers at Adobe have done is they have put in this new dropdown within the crop tool that says, do you want to crop? Do you want to outcrop to transparent? Or do you want to use content aware fill? Or do you want to use generative expand? Generative expand, please. Thank you. So we're going to choose generative expand, and we're going to go ahead and click and drag up, okay, to include that top of the head. But also, I feel like maybe she's just a little tilty, okay? So I'm also going to go ahead and just rotate that frame just a little bit to just make her a little bit more straight. And now what I can do is press the check mark. And so in one step, I'm able to add the top of her head. I'm able to fill in the areas on the sides, right? I mean, talk about time saving. This stuff is phenomenal. And the results that we're getting, because now with this one, I don't know if I mentioned, we are using Image Model 3. And I am using Photoshop Beta version, I just updated it, 26.9.0. So that's the public beta that you can go and download if you want. It's using Image Model 3, and that is going to be the newest version that they have. Okay, so we have 3 versions. We have 1, we have 2, and we have 3 variations, okay? I don't care. Each one of them is fine with me. But there is one kind of drawback that I do want to bring to everybody's attention. And that's going to be some of the resolution constraints when it comes to generative fill. So if you're generating an area that is more than 1,024 pixels in length or in height on the long side, what it's going to do is it's going to generate 1,024 pixels, and then it's just going to up-res that to fit whatever the canvas size or the size of your document is. And so if you can see here, right here, can you guys see that difference in texture and detail? See that line? Because you guys are amazing and you know what you're doing. Okay, so a couple different things that we can do to fix this situation. The first one is going to be this little teeny tiny icon here called Enhanced Details. Now what this is doing is it's using AI on top of the AI to make the AI better. Okay. Yeah, say that 5 times fast. I don't know. What it's doing is it's going to use a AI-backed filter called Super Resolution, which is going to use AI in a different algorithm to increase the pixels and the detail in the pixels. So if we go ahead and click that, you can see that it did very much increase the details. All right, and also if we look here in our properties menu, you can see that we now have a version where that enhanced details is grayed out. See that? So you have your original one, and you have your enhanced detail. All the variations are there for you to reference. Now, keep in mind that this is going to increase the size of your file, okay? So if you know 110% that you are not going back to any of those other variations, go ahead and delete these, and that is going to allow you to save some file size in your image. But let's say you're dealing with some medium format image and it's humongo, and this enhanced detail just still isn't good enough. What I would do in that situation is my do it in chunks method. I don't have a better name for it. It's just called my do it in chunks method. I don't know what I just did there. And so what that chunks method is, you guys are going to be like stuck being like, oh, that's giving me a nauseous stomach. Please don't say the chunks method anymore. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to use our marquee tool. And I'm just going to click and drag a box. Now, one of the beautiful things about having your rulers set to pixels is that in this box, do you see that little count? All right, so that count is telling me the height or the width in pixels of my selection, okay? And so if we know that 10 1024 pixels is the max that can be created, then it makes sense for us to keep an eye on those pixels when we need to generate something of higher detail, right? So that way I can kind of just come into the section that needs to be redone and just hit Generative Fill again and hit Generate again. And that's going to create a higher resolution generative fill over the area that I need more detail in to match the rest of the image. What's really beautiful about Firefly and generative fill within Photoshop is that it's going to match the color of your surrounding image. It's going to match the contrast of your surrounding image. It's going to match the lighting and the noise level and the perspective. This is all stuff, if you were using one of those other image generation programs, that would all be stuff that you would literally have to write in the prompt yourself. And as visual people, I don't do words very well. I don't know about you guys, I don't do words very well. So I just deal with pictures. And so having an AI model that's just going to read the picture that I'm working on and be like, well, this has to be done, this has to be done, this has to be done, is just beautiful. And it's all done beneath the hood, and I'd never have to care about it. Okay? So that's another amazing thing about some of this technology. So by doing this, and so basically what I just did was I increased detail in that area, and then you would go on, you would make another box, you would select that area, generative fill again, select the next area if you needed to, generative fill again. And then by doing that, chunk by chunk, box by box, you're gonna get a higher resolution. Has anybody run into that issue where, you know, the generative fill that you get is just a little bit of a lower resolution than the rest of your image? Yeah, okay. So this is a good workaround for that, okay? Okay, all right, moving on. Let's see. I did that. Okay, let's go ahead. So let's say that I wanted to, I'm gonna do something else here. So one of the big things that I get really frustrated with is reflections in glasses when it comes to headshots, because I spend so much of my time doing headshots day in and day out. And so if you can't get rid of the reflections by relocating the lights, which is going to be step number one, do it in camera whenever possible. If not, you can do it in this. Now, this reminds me that I really do want to shout out the new Lightroom release that was just released today. Any smart instructor is never going to update their program right before a demonstration, but I definitely suggest you guys just Google or look into the new updates on reflection removal that have just come out in the Lightroom ecosystem and also in Camera Raw. It's so crazy. It's really cool. But this is, this is another method that we're going to do to just remove reflections using the AI in Photoshop. So for this one, let's just go ahead and switch it up. Let's live on the wild side. Let's use our polygonal lasso tool for this one. Okay? And then we'll come in here, and whenever I am working on a portrait of a client, especially a paying client, one thing that I do not want to do is change their actual iris, right? That is something that I am not paid to do, to actually change the human that is paying me to take photos of them. So what we can do is we can make a selection over our reflections. We can come to Generative Fill, and we can just hit Generate. And hopefully, I wish this was a slider that I could just, snap my fingers and have it done, but thankfully we have pretty good Wi-Fi today. So 1, 2, and 3, okay? So 2 looks the best. So we could go into 2 and go into our 3-dot menu and choose, anyone? Generate similar? And we could see if we can get another one that has less less reflections, or give us just a few other versions to work with. I like that one, I like that one, and I like that one. So all three of those I feel like are better, but we only got those ones with no reflections because we use the generate similar prompt from the 3 dots menu, okay? Is everybody with me? Has everybody learned something? Okay, yay. Okay, so I'm gonna move on then. I wanna just touch on as many things as I can, and I have 20 minutes left, so this is gonna be a lot, okay? But I do have notes for everybody to download at the end of this. I have my top 20 AI Photoshop tips. I'm gonna give you a link. You guys can go on and download that entire PDF. It's like 50 pages or something. Too many pages. You just have to go to Gabe Biederman and tell him that I'm the best speaker at the show. All right, so let's do this. Let's see, let's have a little bit of fun. So let's say I work for a company and some of my younger generation just don't know how to come to work and look professional. I don't know. Okay, so what I could do with this image is, or let's say this is me and I'm on the struggle bus and I have the struggle bun and I need to start brushing up my LinkedIn to look for a new job. Okay, so let's come in here. Let's use our lasso tool, and I'm going to come over this area here, and I'm going to make sure that I include everything. One thing that I do want to make sure that I point out is that when it comes to AI, if we left this teeny tiny little portion of this hair out, what AI is going to need to do is it's going to need to generate something that makes this make sense. Does everybody understand what I'm saying there? That's when you're going to get the random stuff that is like, I did not ask for that at all. Like, what is that? Okay, so when it comes to selections for AI specifically, you just want to make sure that you're getting as much as you can of the surrounding area, because if you leave even one blade of grass, it's going to need to be incorporated into whatever AI generates for you, Photoshop, whatever generative fill generates for you. Okay, so let's put in here sleek, and I cannot spell, sleek hair, sleek edged hair bun. All right, let's try that. And you never know what you're going to get when this is live. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, 1, 2, 3. A little bit better. A little bit better. Not so sleek edged, but we're getting there. And so what we can do now is come into this area here, and we'll come through, and we'll try this, get rid of some of this hair. And sometimes what I find is that hair edge with white background. Sometimes it helps. If I'm trying to remove something and it's replacing what I'm trying to remove with something similar, I find that if I put into the prompt what would be behind the thing that I'm trying to remove. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If I put in what's behind it, I sometimes will end up with a better result, okay? So if I'm getting like the same thing that I'm trying to remove in that selection, then putting in what I want to see behind it is going to help. The other thing that you can do is change the shape and the size of your selection. That will also help if you're running into issues like that. Okay, so this I feel like is better than this, but this brings up a very good thing that I like to suggest for users. We're all in this together, in this AI burgeoning world, right? And so what we can do to help this AI model work better for us is to just take one result a day and give feedback to Adobe. And the way that we do that is we come into the three dots menu again, and we can choose good, poor, or report, okay? So this is a good result. Oh, sorry, no, this is not a, no, sorry. This is a poor result, and just check something, and you can include the image to help them with their feedback, and then just submit that feedback, and that sends it to Adobe, and an actual human looks at that and helps decide where the AI model needs to brush up its work, okay? Brush up, get it? Okay, sorry. All right, so we cleaned up the hair. I'm happy with that. Now I can come down to the area of the body here. And white t-shirt, not necessarily professional enough. So what I would like to do is I'd like to come in and choose work attire, blouse, and blazer. I'm literally, as a headshot photographer, being replaced as I'm doing this to you guys. But that's okay. I have ideas about what I'm going to do next, so it's good. It's going to be great. All right. So 1, 2, 3. We're going 70s, guys. We're going 70s today. But as you can see, much better than a white t-shirt, right? So this is going to be a way for you guys to help. Like I had, for example, let me give you a real world example of something that happened to me at an actual shoot. I had a client come in and she had a tank top and then she had a jean vest, and we did a headshot and it was kind of over the shoulder like this, but we had this big open arm, and we were thinking, okay, well, what if we did, I wonder if I could use AI to just fill in the sleeve of the jean jacket to make it look like a jean jacket so that we don't have, because it's weird to wear a jean vest with bare arms, you know, because it was a tank top underneath, so there were bare arms, but then the jean vest. And it did it beautifully. It just extended out the arm. If you need to extend out a frame, left or right, up or down, like I showed you in the previous example, all of that stuff is just going to make your life so much easier. And that's what I hope that you guys can kind of grasp from today's class, okay? And you could even go as far as completely changing how a person, you know, what the person is dressed in. Whoops, nope. You know, you could start there and end up there, and that's much better for your professional, you know, website. Let's say you work for a company and you get this headshot from your new hire and you're like, nope, we need to, you're gonna be literally next to the CEO, so maybe we like just kind of do a little stuff. You know, I don't know. I try to think of all different like applications and potential like scenarios of where this tech can be used and really help you out tremendously. All right, one of the things that I love the most about this is going to be how well it works at flyaway hairs and fixing hair issues. I don't even have to put in a prompt, and because I've made a selection of that area and let it run, I hopefully, fingers crossed, I never want to talk out of turn, but I get 3 good results which are going to get rid of that area that I need to get rid of. Okay? One other way that I really love to use this tech is for something like, like crosshairs like this, or the edge of hair, because I cannot tell you the bane of my existence is retouching flyaway hairs from images. Who's with me? It's the worst. It's the absolute worst. Okay, I like have my camera and hairspray. Those are the two things I need for a shoot. All right, and I always tell my clients, it needs to look good. It does not need to feel good. So I'm just gonna until it's all gone. All right, so we can. I can. Let me just start with the flyaways here. So I can go ahead and I can select the edges of this hair, right? And remember, I have to make sure that I select all of the area of all of the flyaways. I don't want to leave any random, for example, I don't want to leave that out of my selection, right? Because that's just going to end up creating something random that does not look like what I want it to look like. So we can come down here and we can make a selection like that, and I can make sure that I include all of that. I can come to Generative Fill and I can say sleek, styled, sleek, edged hair without flyaways. All right, let's see. Let's see how it goes. I know, right? All right, we have 1, we have 2, that's better, and we have 3. So here's our original, and there's our after, okay? If you left the prompt just remove or generate, how would it be different? If I left the prompt like empty, let's try Generative Fill, generate. Let's see how that does. At least it gives me a chance to take a drink. 1, 2, 3. What I've found is that sometimes when I put in a word like flyaways, even if I put the word without or with no blank, it ends up putting it in, okay? So sometimes the fact that I put in, even though I put in without flyaways, because I put in the word flyaways in the prompt, it probably gave me a little bit of a messier edge. When I left it blank, I got a sleeker edge, okay? So these are just little bits that you guys can play around with little by little and try and see what works best for you. I will say that when you put in a word, like to-do words like fill, remove, change, anything like that, those words do not compute for the AI. So they're not going to help. They're not going to help in your prompt. Like remove flyaways. Like I can't say remove flyaways because it's not going to do that. So, so there's a little bit of the two different versions. When I leave it blank, it seems to cut in a lot and not give me the fullest hair possible. So you can see here we get a little bit more body with the images where I did do the prompt. So it's just a little bit of, changes, and you really have to weigh the pros and the cons of each one of leaving it blank. Let's try some crosshairs here. This is the other thing. If you have a big chunk of hair that is going in the opposite direction that you want to try and remove, you can do that as well. Okay, let's go ahead and let's just try. Let's leave it blank. Sometimes I put in sleek hair. And let's see what we get. Thank you for being understanding, because it is nerve-wracking to not know what the AI gods are going to give me on any certain day. But as you can see, it was able to get rid of that little clump pretty well, okay? And there as well. This one, not so much, okay? But we could always go in and choose the 3 dots menu and choose, yeah, there we go. Generate similar, and we might get some better results. So let me see. There are 2 additional things that I want to just point out. Let's see how this goes. All right, 1, 2, 3. That one looks good. That little area there, getting rid of that little clump. So that generate similar is much better than it was when it first came out. I will say that the leaps and bounds that generate similar has improved are amazing. Okay, so before I move on to my next section, I want to point out some of the coolest, newest features that have just been rolled out, and that is feature selection. Who here has played with Lightroom and gone into the iris, eyes, hair, select eyebrows? Who had to Google what sclera are? Yeah, that's our vocab word today. That's the eye whites. Okay, so if you come into, let me see, our object selection tool within Photoshop, you see a new box up here that says Select People. If we drop into that Select People option and we click on our person, you can see that we now have the option to select hair, eyebrows, eyes, iris, nose, mouth, facial skin, upper body skin, upper clothes. All either individually or all together, okay? This is game changing for me because what I'm planning on doing when I get home is incorporating these selection tools into actions if I can. I have not checked yet, so don't quote me on that, okay? So by coming in here, doing an eyebrow selection, a selection of the eyebrows, choosing apply, it's going to give me a selection of the eyebrows. I can come up over to my curves adjustment layer, and it automatically created that eyebrows mask, as you can see here. And now I can go ahead and just darken those eyebrows just a little bit, and I didn't have to mask anything, freehand. Okay? Game changing. I have been waiting for this in Photoshop to be rolled out for way too long. Way too long. So when is that, when are we gonna, because you guys have it in Lightroom already. So you know how to do it, right? Can we get it in Photoshop, please? Because I'm like dying over here to create actions with it. Anyway, so those features, and if you have multiple people, you're going to have even more features as well. So going into the person, choosing entire person, choosing hair, eyebrows, eyes, iris, nose, mouth, facial skin, upper body skin, upper clothes. There are other additional options, but they will not show up if they are not registered in the image that you're working on. I think there's a couple others, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But that for me is really, really, really exciting. And definitely is going to change the way that I edit portraits moving forward. I don't know about you guys. Will this change the way you edit portraits? Give me a round of applause. Yes. All right, good. All right, so the last thing that I wanted to just bring up in our last couple of minutes is I went in and I created an image from scratch. So this is another new feature called Generate Image. Let me just do it again, but before I do that, I am going to copy this prompt so that I have it. All right, so if we go into File, and we'll choose New. You don't have to do a new file, but I just like to keep things clean and tidy, so let's do it. We're going to choose Create. And then down here, we have this little icon, this Generate Image icon. And what I'd like to do is I would like to take the redhead that we were just working on, but I want to put her on a natural background that looks like a natural outdoor headshot background. So I can put in a prompt that says headshot background only with no people. That doesn't work, unfortunately. Cat's out of the bag. Very blurry, nondescript background. I can choose photo, okay? And then I'm gonna just go ahead and choose generate. And that's gonna give me a background that's not pink. I don't know why it's pink. Let's see. Okay, 1, 2, 3. No people. Okay, but you know what? I like what's behind it. So what if we just went through and we used our lasso tool and we select this and we choose what would be behind him, blurry background with lots of bokeh. Bokeh, 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 bokeh. Bokeh on this side of the room. Go ahead and switch seats. Bokeh. No, I'm kidding. All right, so let's see how it's going. And there we go. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is something, so I'm going to just switch over to the other one that I was working on. So you can see here's the initial image, and then I got rid of him by just doing another prompt where I just basically described what would be behind him, right? Because if I had left that prompt empty, it probably would have given me another person, and then another person, and then another person, and that's not what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to get rid of the person. All right, so I have my, my lady here. So I can come in and I can make a selection here along this edge of her hair. Okay, and I can choose hair edge with natural fly away hairs, and then cross my toes and my legs and my fingers to make sure and my arms to make sure we get it right. Okay, and I did it in the wrong place. Hold on 1 second. We're going to do that again, but we're going to do it above the subject, or I can just show you literally what it did. And I can just turn on the layers because we are running out of time. So this was my first generative fill with that prompt, right? I got these options, so I really liked that one. And then I did the same thing on the other side, made a selection here, and then I put in hair edge with natural flyaway hairs, and then I got 1, 2, and 3. So gone are the days when you have to painstakingly mask out every little hair in your image to replace the background that you are trying to work within in your image. Because you can literally select the edge where one photo meets the other photo and just hit generate, and that's going to give you a realistic background, okay? So did that save anybody? I have a couple of you that are like me, like masking at 400%, right? Masking at 400%, trying to get every single hair in. It's done, gonzo, okay? And that's what I'm happiest about. So I just wanted to say thank you guys so much. This is where you can download the notes. Sharkpixel.com/12. You can download those notes. And yeah, and that is everything that we have for today.